Hello guys, what's up? This is ScherBR and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we talk about Matriarch ReRun. Many people were expecting this moment, those that couldn't summon for her back in her original release, new players that didn't see her banner when it was alive, so now is the best time to summon, not just because she's the best character in the game, but also because she returns with 4 different styles. 2 of them they are kinda important to the game. Well, they are Ferdinand and Vassault. Undine is not that important anymore, the same can be said for Paulus, but this banner now offers a lot of value. When she was first released in Global, they removed Ferdinand from her original banner because they gave him another one, buffing him in the process, but we lost a lot of value because they were together in JP. Now those that skipped Ferdinand can try to summon for him now, but I don't know, I won't be doing that because I have to save gems and I think that eventually I will not need Ferdinand. But he's still a very strong boss killer for both Slash and Pierce. Having a character that can perform well in 2 different elements is so nice because, well, you're essentially training a character for 2 types. Matriarch is still the best one, and Vassault can debuff dexterity while also performing fast damage for turn 2. He eventually gets better in the future, allowing him to do his fast attack on turn 1 by a new style. But let's start with Matriarch. Why is she so good? We'll be giving a very small review here. Pain of Victory is the most broken skill in the game, because it increases 4 status, STR, Endurance, Agility, and Intelligence. They are mostly offensive, save for Endurance. The only offensive styles that won't be strengthened here are those that use dexterity, because this does not buff dexterity, but at least it buffs agility and endurance. Those 2 status are useful in boss strategies. Endurance to reduce physical damage, and agility to allow you to evade. Evasion strategies are the best ones with Matriarch, because she can keep stacking agility, and if you are using Rapid Train, you also get even more, allowing you to evade like from, I don't know, turn 3 onwards. Depending on your older characters, you can make this even faster. There are older characters that work so fine, like Global Exclusive Immediate that can debuff agility from enemies. If your enemy is a spellcaster, the buffing agility will also allow you to evade more, because agility and intelligence are used for accuracy. For physical damage, the accuracy is based on dexterity, and that is why Vassault will help out. If the enemy uses martial arts attacks, debuffing agility will also debuff their accuracy because it's based on their agility. As you can see, to use her well, we need agility debuff and also dexterity debuff. Surprise, we have Vassault that can debuff dexterity, and we have the newest version of Princess White Rose that can debuff agility. So you essentially have right now most of what you need to perform the evasion strategy. This won't be for too long. Some boss fights in the future will cleanse your buffs or will just keep buffing themselves to very high status to not allow you to evade all the time. But so far and for most bosses you can use this, and it's the best way to cheesy and win. Okay, so besides that, she's also a very capable damage dealer with Brandish and also Heaven's Dive. Heaven's Dive is a very powerful attack. If you compare her status are not that bad. Well, 85 is nothing to write home about if you're talking about Nuke, but Heaven's Dive has a good power, 51 as you can see, and it also gives critical against Undead and Demons, and they are usually weak to Pierce, not all of them but some, and when you use this in tandem with the critical damage, she will be useful even on farming scenarios. Brandish has only D multiplier, but I have been using this a lot, especially on enemies that are weak. Birds and skeleton birds are usually weak to those things, one or another, and she has been seeing some usage for farming. So after her we have Vassault. Let's talk about Vassault. And right now he may seem a little lacking because he is kind of a defensive mage. He's not exactly a nuker. He's hard to use. He does have a good spell, Rainstorm, that's Cold and Lightning, although very weak. The best thing is Shield, because this one can debuff dexterity. He's a mage. The best debuffers in this game are mages, and also those that have a guarantee when they debuff. He doesn't have a guarantee. It's a small chance to debuff, but because of such a high intelligence, he has a lot of intelligence, he will hardly miss, unless it's an enemy that keeps buffing his own will. Will never return. We had a boss doing that. And Torrential Storm is an attack that is fast, although not that powerful. It has at least 25 modifier. This version of him does not have much damage, as you can see. He doesn't have a single damage passive. But in the future he gets a new premium style that also has power charge, allowing Torrential Storm to be casted on turn 1. Right now it helps, but it's not on full potential, and if you are thinking about the future version of Vassault, having this one is important, totally important to make it work. But shield is important in boss fights if you want to debuff the dexterity to evade. Vassault is a character that is considered meta if you have all his styles. And after that we have Ferdinand. We just got another version of Ferdinand in the game, Platinum one. So the Platinum one increases the utility even of this one. He does have a free attack with Gleaming Slash that buffs his own STR. It is insanely useful in boss fights because he can buff himself without using BP. So every time that you wanna do damage against boss, you'll be using Starry Rush. This uses 7 BP, it can attack between 2 to 4 times. This is a very powerful nuke. You can reach the damage of a 4S attack if you get 4 hits. Well, there's RNG involved, you may not get as much, but even then, because he self-buffs himself all the time, the damage just keeps increasing and he will help you in long fights. He's one of the best long fight characters in the game. Starstream is a very strange attack that doesn't have that much power, but also debuffs his own STR. I think you should forget that this even exists. The first skill here, he even has a counter chance. When being directly attacked, he has 25% chance of countering attack with the first skill that buffs his own STR. He's not a tank or anything else, you can see for his endurance is not that high, or even his will, but at least they are very similar. If you are using a very defensive strategy, it's good when it triggers, but you should not be relying on this too much. The most important thing is STR Surge 3 that gives him an STR buff when he hits a weak point. That is either slash or pierce, because he keeps using that all the time. So he's very powerful and just get even better on farming with his Platinum style, because the Platinum style has a way to get Starry Rush twice. I talked about this in a recent video because of battle tension. So good for farming in single target boss fights. As for Undine, she's actually a mix of support, heal, damage and debuff, but right now I don't think anyone needs her. There are better characters for these roles when they are essentially focused on them. She can heal and increase endurance with her Revitalizing Water skill that will also trigger her passive to buff intelligence and will as well, but because she only does that when she heals, it's not that good. She can also heal on the start of a turn, so well, she reduces the stress of healing on herself. She can debuff with Water Hammer. That's not a bad skill because it has 2 elements and the buff intelligence, and by being a mage she will hardly miss. But even Joe can do that if you really need, or if you are desperate. And then we have other styles in this game that can debuff intelligence with a lower BP cost, so they can keep using. She is useful for those that miss it, some intelligence debuffers, but not the best one on performing this. And the last attack is Thunderstroke, a lightning attack that is very powerful but costs 10 BP, cannot be used 2 times in a 3-turn cycle. She is not good for farming unless you only have to deal damage once in a single wave. I don't think that she offers too much volley. Like I said, Vassault and Ferdinand are still better, and the last one should be Paulus, and Paulus got dethroned. He was never impactful in the game because he was released when we had characters that deal more damage and also offer better support. Paulus wants to increase the blunt damage of the squad, but he does that with a chance. At the start of the game, we had 25% chance of buffing some status, and that's exactly how he works. Right now we have Leon that gives 10% to everyone on the start of a fight, and he also performs both slash and sun damage. Just as a comparison as where the game is going, Paulus wants to do that with a 25% chance that lasts for 2 turns. The good thing is that this can keep going for the whole fight. But for farming scenarios, Leon and other buffers like the second version of Fuse, Summer Elizabeth do it way better. And comparing him to Summer Elizabeth is needed because he was released just before her, and she offers way too much. She gives a buff with a guarantee, he does not. And this Invigorate is kinda old right now, 40% chance of getting 1 BP, but it's not a character that you'll be using on boss fights, so well, this is not something that you should rely on. He does try to debuff intelligence, but with a very costly attack. Skull Splitter Plus, he comes with a plus version already, uses 7 BP, so you, well, have problems. You cannot even use that twice when you start the fight. So we usually prefer attacks with lower BP costs to keep using right from the start and reduce damage. If you cannot use that on turn 2, you are receiving more damage from the boss. Twinkling Beat is a strong attack that increases his own STR so that he can do more damage, but doesn't have any other cheap attack, and it kinda clashes with his own design. Right now he got a Platinum style that is a little better for farming, and has even higher status, and if you get this one, you can just make his AoE chances better. But I don't think this guy should be chased. He loses against most other blunt damage dealers in this game because we got a lot of strong ones with the SaGa Frontier Master banner. Well, that's it. Let's return here to the banner image. And do you have Matriarch? If you don't, summon here. If you're close to a PD, Ferdinand or Vassault, it depends on what you want. If you still lack some damage for bosses, Ferdinand is the answer. If you're thinking about the future and also other strategies to debuff dexterity and you don't have another dexterity debuffer, Vassault is your answer. Those three are the ones that matter. After that, it's Undine and lastly, Paulus. I wish you good luck if you are summoning on this banner. Thanks so much for watching this video. What do you think about this? Will you be summoning? Please say here in the comments. I hope to see you all soon in another one. Bye.